Hello, everyone. I hope you are having an absolutely wonderful Wednesday. It is kind of cloudy today, so we'll see if it rains. Um, I don't have anything going on today, so I'm going to stay inside, avoid the rain as I can. But let me know what it is like where you are across the world. I know we have a lot of new friends. So if you're in Canada, let us know. If you're in the US, I know we have some friends that are joining from the UK or Ireland, which is awesome. Today, we are talking about marketing to people or families who have opted in for your program, but they haven't yet signed up. So, I think it's a super important topic, especially considering that it's tryout season. And we have lots of people that are looking into information. They're looking at you, they're looking at other gyms potentially, they're looking at other sports. So maybe, they've finished the season or they finished the season in gymnastics or dance, whatever that may be, and they're looking at potentially joining cheerleading. Or you have the opposite side, which is a recreational side, which is that they're potentially finishing a session and they're looking at joining maybe your parkour program, maybe your tumbling program, your gymnastics program, depending on what it is. All the things that we're going to talk about are applicable to any of them. So you can really tailor the process to whatever programs that you're doing. Um, so I'll drop a poll in right now and we will see. Feel free to answer it. What programs do you offer? Do you offer tumbling? Do you offer parkour, gymnastics, dance, or cheerleading? We're gonna put tumbling and gymnastics together because I can only have 4. So we'll do that. Perfect. And if you're watching the replay, same thing. Comment what do you offer in your gym? What do you offer as part of your business? I love knowing about all the different programs that we have and that we get to help in this group. So we'll dive right in. Okay, so one of the things that a lot of people will talk about is touch points and how many touch points does it take to make a sale. So if you're looking up on Google right now, they would say that the average touch point is 6 to 8. And touch point being phone call, social media post, a tailored email that's more towards them, not necessarily a newsletter. So a prospective email. That could be a Facebook ad, a Google ad, anything like that. So each one of those is a touch point, and they say that on average it's 6 to 8. That is a little bit low, I think, compared to what we are now. I think in a really digital environment, people are taking longer to engage. They're getting hit with a lot of either advertising or information or products or businesses and services like what we offer that they need a little bit more. So when I did look it up and I was looking at a couple different things, the kind of consensus was that 12 touch points are really needed to make a sale. So when you think about that, that is a social media post, they opted into your program, they got an email afterwards, then they got a follow-up email, then you send a different email. That's already at 5. So you need 12 to really make a sale and have them convert. Now, if they're a existing client and customer, way less, right? Because they're already engaged, they're interested in your programs, they know what you offer, they know the type of service and experience that you offer. It's super important to remember that while we talk about being, gyms are families and loyalty and all of that, it's really important to remember that as a business, we are providing a service, and customers and clients, they're looking for a specific type of experience. And if you don't offer that type of experience that they're looking for, that's okay. They're just not a good fit for your program. And raise your hand as you've probably experienced this, where a family has come in and they're definitely not the right fit. So you might be a more laid back gym and they're looking for a really competitive experience where they're pushing, it's more intense training, or you have the opposite. You're a really intense, training focused gym, and a more laid back family comes in, and it just, you don't mesh. So those touch points are also a really good opportunity to educate your prospective clients about the experience that you offer. So how does that work? So if you haven't watched the Playbook Live yet about why you need opt-ins on your website, pause this, go watch that, then come back. Because that's super important, and that's really going to talk about what the rest of this conversation is. You cannot really touch on those people and follow up with them as effectively if you're not having those personal conversations. So it all starts with an opt-in. So they go to your opt-in, and whether that's to opt in for your newsletter, to opt in to look at a training schedule or your class schedule, maybe it's an opt-in to look at your all-star package and your tryout package, their email is now into your email marketing system, whether it's ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, Clivo, whatever. So what we do and what we like to do with our clients is we add in a tag. So that way you know exactly where they came from. And also, as they go through this process and they might be opting in for different information, you can see, okay, they submitted for our all-star package. They also submitted for our contact information. Those are two separate tags, which allows you to create something called segments, which essentially just gives them little like name tags is like the best way to describe it. So name tag number 1 is a cheer opt-in. So you know that they're interested in a cheer program. And then tag number 2 is it's a contact information. So you know they submitted the form. Well, a couple months down the road, they submit for your tumbling information. Now they get another name tag that says tumbling. And it's a way for you to tailor who you're sending your information to, but it also allows you to track it. So that tag gets added, and then they get added into a automation that welcomes them. That automation, now based off of a lot of the starter packages, you can't have more than 5 actions unless you bump up your package. So typically about 5 welcome emails spread out over time is a good touch point for your welcoming, because you're also going to be sending out other emails. That one is going to give them information about your program. Maybe it gives them upcoming information about your tryouts. If they miss tryouts, once that has happened, make sure you're updating that automation so to tell them what happens afterwards. So do they email you? Do they call you? Do they just hit reply and say, hey, I want to schedule an individual tryout? Give them the information so that if they're ready to go and they've hit those 12 touch points, that they have the information to convert right there. So you have them go through that welcome automation. It gives them all that information. But then a lot of times what happens is time goes by and we just kind of forget about them. And not in a mean way, but just that a lot of gym owners get busy, right? And maybe you don't have the staff that are trained to do your email marketing, so we don't send out emails. But it's really important that we don't forget about them. So we want to make sure that we're following up with them. And it's important to remember that you don't necessarily need to follow up with selling emails to still convert them. So if you have a blog post that goes out that says, here are our top 5 tips ahead of tryouts, send that to the people that opt in for your cheer, because now you're giving them information on how to prepare for tryouts. You're reminding them that tryouts are happening. And you're also letting them know about your experience. So what are the things that you're looking for at tryouts? If you're sending out things like, what are you looking for tryouts? You're giving them information on how to prepare. If you're sending them out information about, here's how we make our teams, and it talks about minimum skills, qualifications for this or that, mentality. They get the idea of what your experience is versus we make teams based off of the best fit for them to be successful, but also still have a fun season where they can make friends. Those are 2 very different experiences, but it gives them that information. You can also send them out selling information though. So if you have some clinics that are coming up, send that to the cheer opt-ins who might be interested in that. If you have a recreational team, maybe they weren't quite ready for an all-star team, but they're interested in a half year or a recreational team. when things get launched. So if you have a half year and recreational package, send it to those people. If you have sessions for tumbling, or you have a new member special, send it to those people who they may not have been ready to join at that moment, but they might be able to join a different program. And once you get them in their gym, then you can see what their experience is, maybe what their financial situation is. A lot of times we have those conversations with families and give them information about grants. Another great email if you have grants. So I know that in the Quinte region, there are two big grants that a lot of families go through. It's the Children's Foundation, which they give out grants for both summer camps as well as activities. So those are two things that we'll send out, and that usually gets people a little bit more information. We're from a lower income area, so having grant or subsidy or fundraising information tends to help us convert those people. And the other one is Canadian Tire's Jumpstart Foundation, which is across Canada, and is also a really good opportunity for you to help families maybe get into extra classes, or for them to help pay for their monthly fees. So you want to get them in, you want to have those tags, those name tags, or those segments. You don't want to forget about them, so you want to send them updates. They don't have to be regular in terms of like every week, or you're sending out 3 emails a week. It could be 2 emails a month. Maybe it's a newsletter that talks about all the things that are happening in your gym. And the second one is a selling email about maybe a session or a program that needs more people. Or it's, our tryouts are next week. We'd love to have you join us. But just keeping them engaged and involved in the process, and not just being like, oh, hey, we signed up for this information, we got it right away, now we're going to forget about you. We really want to create that personal connection, which is going to help you convert. Okay, so after that, and you've sent out these emails, you also want to track what they click and what they open and are interested in. So you can set up automations that if they click a link here, they are directed into this automation and XYZ happens. So one of the most popular ones that we do is you click on a link. So for example, you were interested in our recreational program, and we have a team that's coming up. You were interested in our tryout process, and tryouts are happening. Now you're getting put into this follow-up email. In that follow-up email, you're going to have a email that goes out within a day, is usually what we put it, and it says, hey, I saw you were interested in whatever program it could be. So you could put like cheer program, could be tumbling program. You could put it even more specific and say, hey, I saw you were interested in our summer recreational team. Do you have any questions or need help getting registered? And we will personalize that email by saying from our admin's name. So it might be from Rachelle, from Liz. It looks very similar to the emails that we send out through Gmail. So they're not a huge selling. We'll take even our logo out so it looks exactly like our Gmail. We have a little saying quote that goes at the bottom. It's colored. It goes out on all our emails. That gets put in too, so that it just looks like more personal, looks like we're reaching out to them, which we are. It just is one less step that myself or the admin team have to manually do. If they click on anything or open that email, they're interested, they can reply. And then if they do click on it and open it, it sends an automated email to our general info account that says, hey, admin team, please follow up with this person. They're interested. A follow-up email has already been sent, so that they can either give them a call or they can send an email and say, hey, just following up. And that way we have better response rates, and we also have better conversion rates when you have that personal factor. The other side is that if it waits a couple days, so maybe it waits a week, they get another email that says, hey, just checking in, the deadline for registration is coming up, or hey, tryouts are now done, but you can still join until the end of August, let's say. Do you have any questions? Can I help you getting registered? All of that. And then it waits a little bit, and you can add another email that maybe goes out 2 weeks later, a week later, to follow up. So it's just another way to create that process, create those touch points. In the case of that automation, that if they've clicked a link, they go into that automation. Now you're adding potentially 3 touch points that are personal, tailored to what they were interested in, and they're more likely to convert because they feel like they matter, which they do, and we want to be able to create that experience for them without also creating about 300 times more work for us. So using automations and really streamlining, so that you can get that information to, these are the qualified leads, these are the people that are actually interested in it, to your admin team or to yourself, so that you can reach out and convert those families. Just look at my notes here. The other thing is, when we talk about touch points, depending on the type of industry that you're in, or depending on if you're in a very highly saturated market. So for example, if you're in the Greater Toronto area, there's like 10 gyms within, like, you can throw a rock. So now you have a lot of touch points. You have a lot of information being thrown, a lot of options. So cold prospects could range from 20 to 50 touch points. And that's something that you can continue to think about, that those touch points also happen throughout your season. So it could be that you interact with another gym at a competition, or they see you at an award ceremony. It's not necessarily a touch point, that is that reach out, but they saw you at a competition, you did really well, and they thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Or they saw how you responded. So like, your coaches were so excited, your kids were so excited, your kids were taking photos afterwards. Those are all touch points that we don't necessarily think about, but in terms of marketing or branding, they're things that happen. So they're that user generated content or our customer generated content, that you don't necessarily have control over, but it's also something for you to think about. So if you're out and about, and your branding is on things, so your kids are going to school and they've got their t-shirts on from practice, or they have their infinity bags that have your name on it, those are all touch points to also think about. And it could be a whole other conversation about marketing outside of your gym, but it's just something for you to think about. So those cold prospects, the people who are brand new, especially if you're in a very saturated market, you could have 20 to 50 touch points before you make that sale. Okay, so kind of a recap of all those things. Segments or name tags on your emails, really important to be able to tailor and personalize content. Don't forget about people on your email list. Make sure to follow up with them. Send them educational things, send them selling things, kind of have a mix of it. Just make sure it's not all selling. Let them know what your experience is, and what kind of services and business that you are. It helps them really make a decision on whether or not it's a good fit. And you want to make sure that you are bringing in people that are a good fit, that are going to be able to stay session over session or years over years on teams. You want to track and follow up with the things that they're interested in. So using automations, following up with phone calls or personal emails to help them answer any questions, get registered. And then always remember that it is about 12 touch points to make a sale. So just because you send out one thing doesn't necessarily mean that it was a fail. You need to be consistent. You need to have a variety of things that you're doing to be able to capture all those people. And if you have any questions about any of that, make sure to comment below. Send us an email at help@tidybiz.ca or help@ttbmedia.ca. Send us a message on Facebook so you can DM Liz or myself, and comment in this group. So feel free to ask your questions, post. We're all about community over competition here. So we'd love to see conversations happen. You're having an issue and let's brainstorm some ideas together. Okay. Other than that, you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I cannot wait to talk to you next. Okay, we'll talk to you later.